What was your biggest fear at that time?
I was pretty fearless. I don't know that I had any fears. Probably my biggest fear was being unhappy, being complacent, not living the life that I really needed to live. I had a lifelong dream. Started at the age of 9. I remember the moment very specifically where I realized what I wanted to do is I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to learn how the children play. Where do the people shop? How do you cook? What do you talk about around the dinner table? And it was something that I realized I could not accomplish through vacations. I had to make it a lifestyle. Once I knew I had to do that, I had the courage to make the counterintuitive changes in my life to make that happen.
Fire! Yes, welcome to another episode of Everyday Badassery. I'm your host, Christine Lozada, and in this episode, if you're watching, we are traveling at TBEX, the Travel Bloggers Exchange, a travel conference in Tri-Cities, Washington. And today I'm chatting with someone I've been fangirling for a long time. I've been meaning to meet Miss Nora Dunn, the professional hobo. She is a badass, crazy traveler, crazy in the best way possible. But this podcast is meant to inspire you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday. I would love for you to journal along with us. Download your free journal, info in the show notes below. Let's introduce Nora.
What's your intro? Who are you?
I am Nora Dunn. I'm otherwise known as the professional hobo. And I love it when people react that way because I totally named myself the professional hobo to make fun of myself. I started traveling full time.
I've heard it a million times. It's still funny to me every single time. I love it.
Yeah. And that's totally what I did it to make fun of myself because what's the first question that people ask you when they meet you?
Where are you from?
What do you do?
Oh, what do you do? Mine's always like, where are you based out of? Oh, I guess, but it's always...
You're talking to travelers,
I'm talking to travelers, yeah.
But if you meet Joe down the street...
Yeah, you're right. What do you do?
They're going to try to understand who you are and thus categorize you by virtue of what you do for a living. Because, of course, what we do for a living is half of our waking life.
Yeah.
So obviously there was some intention that we put into that, right? So I just sold everything that I owned. I started traveling. I didn't know what I was going to do yet. Travel blogging was not a thing. I was sort of thinking about developing a career as a freelance writer, but I hadn't quite made the location independent connection in my head yet.
Yeah.
I go to a Rotary meeting, and because I'm a Rotarian, and these people are all like businessy people, and they're like, nice to meet you, Nora. What do you do? And I'm like, I'm homeless, but I want to make it look good. So I call myself a professional hobo. Yeah. And I did it to get a laugh, and it stuck.
And you do a good job of that. What led to your travel?
Burnout. So it was a little voice in the back of my head that told me that I wasn't doing something. There's this little voice, it's been a lifelong companion of mine.
Yeah.
Kicks in every once in a while and goes, Nora, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. There's something else out there for you. And throughout my career, that led to a career change. Each time, right? And then by the time I hit 30, I was running a finance... Oh, I like you. I was running a financial planning practice. Okay. I'd achieved what society would define as success.
I know this. Okay.
Right? Yeah. And then that voice kicked in again. And I was like, no, I have put years of blood, sweat, and tears into this practice. I am not going to take another detour. So I filled my life with all the things that I hoped would make the voice quiet.
Yeah.
I became a Toastmaster, I joined Rotary, I got back into professional acting, singing, and dancing. I was in DreamWorks movie pictures, I was doing commercials, I was doing theater, and that led to the burnout.
You know in your heart you weren't doing the right thing, yet you put so much work into it, kept going at it.
So I got in 2 car accidents in 1 week, and I had a friend who said, oh, Nora, the universe is trying to tell you something.
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, what, that I shouldn't drive in winter? Get out of my way. I got somewhere I need to be. And it was just a series, again, then I got sick, then I got sicker, then I got, bronchitis, turned into walking pneumonia. And the only thing, so that my initial episodes of Burnout that taught me now how to see what's coming. If I am physically flattened, then I have to listen to the voice.
Okay, fast forward. What would Nora right now say to that Nora back then?
That's a really good question.
Or you just punch her in the face?
Get out of my way. Or get out of your own way, actually, is probably a good thing to say. Well, you know what? I took a leap. And I counterintuitively sold everything that I owned, including this practice.
Yeah.
I was in a position where all I had to do for the rest of my life and career was work less and less and make more and more.
That's fire.
Right?
That's badass right there.
But I sold it all.
Okay.
And it was counterintuitive, but it worked out.
Okay.
So perhaps my 30-year-old self needed some assurance. So if she needed some assurance, I could say, it's going to be okay.
I want to pause here for just a minute because I want you to ask yourself the same question. I want you to think about a time in your life where you're about to do a crazy thing or you're about to make a big jump, and bring yourself back to that moment where you felt fear or you felt that hesitation. And now, with 2020 hindsight, what would you tell yourself back then? And I love to ask people this question because the majority of the time, the answer is something along the lines of, oh, just do it. Or like, you totally got this. Or, wow, I was really afraid of things I shouldn't have been afraid of. And every time I'm in this place where I'm about to make a jump or make a hard decision or whatever it is, I fast forward to the Christine way later, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later. And what would that person be saying to me right in that moment? And that's the assurance I often give myself, to do the damn thing. So questions like that are available in the Badassery Journal, free download. Make sure you check that and grab it in the show notes below. And I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Rhino. Rhino is a social travel app that enables people to share and discover travel experiences through photos and videos. Personally, I have been sharing hundreds of my travel photos, videos, and drone shots too in the app because I want to show others the way I travel and explore. To me, diversity in travel matters, and Rhino gets it. I love how Rhino is challenging the travel industry's one-size-fits-all approach and provides a platform for us to share our unique experiences and break away from the dominant narrative. You can learn more about the app in the show notes below and find that download link as well. And by the way, if you're watching this, I'm filming it from Portland. I'm at the World Domination Summit, but let's jump back to Washington and get back to Nora.
All right, give me a little smattering of the flavors of Nora traveling.
All right.
Where do I start?
I've survived 3 natural disasters. I got 3 tropical diseases. I was robbed twice, including a con man that took my passport and a whole bunch of money. Frankly, he deserved it. No, he earned it. It's okay. I was in a near fatal accident, and I've survived more breakups than I care to admit to.
Okay.
And I like to tell these stories not because I'm looking for a badge of honor, but because I often say that life's misadventures make for the best stories with a dose of hindsight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the other side of the equation. So I saved over $100,000 getting free accommodation in my first 10 years on the road.
Fire.
Some of those experiences included living in Australia and having a kangaroo fall in love with me and literally follow me around everywhere that I went.
I would too.
He slept on my doorstep. Like, it was full on. There's a lot of stories I could tell about Bracken, but I'm not sure who your audience is. But yeah, he was ornery. Let's put it that way. He loved me in every sense of the word.
Does he still call you? Does he still call you today? So I see your phone ringing.
What else? What crazy stuff did I do? I volunteered and trade for free accommodation doing amazing things. I painted murals and trade for free accommodation. I designed marketing plans. I built goats. That was weird.
So I'm still blown away by this whole 100,000 and blah, blah, blah in accommodations. Give me an example of what it looks like when Nora the badass would go out there and be like, I'm going to go get this free accommodation. Or like, give me one example and like talk us through it if I were to stand up right now and go execute on that.
Okay, so if I were to distill the badassery of can we turn this into a verb, the badassery?
Oh, it already is a verb.
All right, sweet. So
it's also a noun and an adjective.
Yes, that's right, because I don't think assery is a verb. But anyway, if I were to embody the badassery of the free accommodation, of every amazing thing that I've ever done in my life, none of it was anything I could plan. Every single part of this was stuff, they were opportunities that came to me, and I was open to see that it was an opportunity.
That's cool.
I was flexible enough to jump on it.
Yeah.
Like, I apprenticed with a shaman in Peru for 2 years. Who does that?
So
You
good.
can't plan that, right? So when it comes to destinations from a travel perspective, my destinations always chose me. And they chose me in the form of a unique opportunity that sang to me. Whether it was a free accommodate, like working exchange, or house sitting, or staying with somebody, or trying something new, or meeting somebody who says, hey, come to this place. And always, there was always, and I think you probably know what this is, there's a little part of you that clicks.
Yeah.
Right? There's often a physiological reaction that comes with it, right?
Yep,
Whether
yep,
it's
yep.
the stomach jumping, or the heart flutter, or the, oh my God, or just even the clunk center, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I guess I'm doing this now. And most of it doesn't make sense. It's like, I guess I'm selling my financial planning practice now.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense, but it does here. I'm doing it.
Hold on. How did you learn to listen to that? In other words, many of us, including myself,
Yep.
have had amazing opportunities come my way, or something that was singing to me.
Yep.
And I heard, I maybe noticed, but I didn't always listen. How did you learn to listen?
I'm wondering if this was innate. I mean, how did I learn to listen? Well,
Were you always good at listening to those things? In
Well,
other
no.
words, I used to get callings all the time.
Yeah.
Or like, this is cool, I should go do that. Or like, oh, what an opportunity. But then when I would start rationally thinking about how that really didn't make any sense, it would immediately stop me from going and doing the thing.
there you go.
And later in life, it didn't matter what this says.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's simply, I wake up the next morning after, I don't know, oh, cool opportunity came. Do I want to do that? I don't know. I'll just go to sleep. And when I wake up the next morning and I ask my gut and my heart, oh, that's a new word. My new word, my gut.
That's a new word.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do that.
Definition, gut and heart. Do I want to do that thing?
Yeah.
It will immediately tell me, and then I can just listen. And I turn this off, and this is on, and then we do the thing.
All right. So as you were talking, I guess my gut clicked in and said, Nora, you've been a performer all of your life. I was practically born onto a stage. And
I did not know this.
I used to be a professional actor, singer, dancer.
Oh, shit.
I had to quit
course you are.
professional dancing at like the age of 20 because I had a chronic hip injury. And at that stage of the game, that was one of these kind of pivotal moments in my life where I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? Because this is all I've ever really known and wanted to do. I'll save that for another story. Get back to the GART. So every time I was about to step out on a stage, that feeling, what's going to happen? The nervousness, I'm about to put myself out there and expose myself in every single way to an audience, and I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people who don't like that feeling. I like it.
Yeah.
And that's now my barometer. Because if something happens, right, where's that opportunity? And then that opportunity comes, and then the GART happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, oh, there we go. And I
like
know
that.
the sign, and then I know to go with it.
Fire. And those create the best adventures and the best memories of life. It doesn't happen when you're just laying in bed.
I know, if only, right? I mean, it'd be kind of nice, be a lot more comfortable.
And it is time to get out of bed, my friends. I'm taking a quick pause to remind you about that journal, one of the questions that's in there. And I want you to just pause and ask yourself right now. Think about a time in which your brain, your thoughts, your mind was quieting your heart. And you knew in your gut it was the right choice. But when you started to think about it, and like really think about it and rationalize it, it kind of got the best of you. And did you still or did you not make the decision? And now with 2020 hindsight, what would you have done differently? Consider it.
If you're fearless about the things that you have chosen to do in life, give me a time, maybe, no, never mind, any time in your life where you have felt doubt. And how did you overcome that?
Well, I feel doubt all the time. And I guess there's, it's funny because what's coming to me right now is, what's the difference between doubt and fear? Do you have a difference in definition there? Or do you think they might be the same?
And fear. Fear can be just being really scared of something, the majority of the time I'm doing anything when I'm traveling, I'm scared AF, but I do it anyway. I would say when you have both fear and doubt, that is really scary fear. When you need to do something and you're both scared of it and you're scared that you can't do it because you're doubting yourself, that's the worst kind of fear. And so I would say they can be combined together, but for me, they can also be separate.
All right. See, I have this feeling that fear does not exist without doubt, because you would not be scared if you didn't doubt your ability to get through that experience.
Fair. Well, but sometimes fear just comes from not knowing. Okay, we're playing with the linguistics thing here. I like where you're going with this. Okay, I like it.
Because, and the reason I just kind of went down that road is because I like to think of myself as someone who conquers fears.
Yeah.
I have 300 skydives, I used to race motorcycles, I bungee jumped around the world. I do fear stuff. If I'm scared, I lived on boats in the Caribbean for 3 months, not a night on land. Why? Because I have an ocean phobia. I'm like, let's try this out.
Such a good reason for something, right? That's why I dive with sharks today. I'm very afraid of sharks.
Right? So I had the fear, but so now I'm going to answer my own question. I didn't doubt my ability to get through it. Whereas perhaps I do have other fears that I'm like, so then maybe fear and doubt is the universal stopper. Whereas you can have fear and move through it, you can have doubt and move through it. But when they're together, it's a challenge. So when have I doubted myself? All kinds of times.
Yeah.
Right? There's been all kinds of times where I'm like, oh, is this really going to work out? Oh, did I make the right decision?
Yeah.
Oh, how is my life going to work out? I doubt the future. I doubt the present. I doubt the career. I doubt the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I doubt all the things. But I think the trick is not letting it stop you. Right? Not letting the doubt and the fear mount together to keep you from living your full potential.
Fuck yeah. And are you a badass?
Hell yeah!
I already know the
Girl,
answer.
you wouldn't be sitting here with me if I wasn't.
Why are you a badass?
Well, I think it's kind of just that, right? If I see a fear, I go, wonder what that's going to be like. Let's do that. I'm ready to jump on the opportunities. I'm ready to pivot left, even though it feels counterintuitive according to what society might define as the thing to do.
Yeah.
But I also calculate my risk. And this goes back to my financial planning days, I think.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about, your ability to, if I were to talk financial planning, I would say, what is your stomach? What is your tolerance for risk? What is your tolerance for fluctuation in order to get an ROI that you're comfortable with? But there is always a line where then unnecessary risk does not beget the same level of gains, right? So I look at it. So skydiving. People say to me, why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Yeah.
I say, first of all, they're not perfectly good airplanes. You should see the planes. You're going to want to have a rig if you get into these planes. But then also, statistically speaking, I have a way greater chance of dying getting into a car accident on my way to the drop zone than I do of jumping out of the airplane. That's the calculation. The benefit that I get from doing the jump, being a part of the community, learning this thing that makes me amazingly, happy and self-confident, and like every time I jumped out of an airplane, I saved my own life. That's empowerment, right? But I calculated the risks. I won't do base jumping because base jumping is right. You know what this is.
I understand,
right? I'll jump out of an airplane because I have 2 parachutes and 15,000 feet to figure it out.
Yep.
But I won't do base jumping because for me, that's just a game of roulette.
Yeah.
And the calculation does not work out.
Calculated risk. Fire.
Yes. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, please leave a review. It really does help to distribute this to more people. Check the show notes for your free journal download to find Nora and to find more info about today's sponsor, Rhino. Thank you for being here today. Go forth, be badass. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.